Good evening and welcome to the September 15th West Perth Council meeting. As normal practice, just before we get into our regular meeting, I would ask council and our guests, if they so wish, we will bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection. Okay, thank you. So we do have a fairly lengthy agenda. I don't think it should be time-wise that long, but it will remain to be seen. You can ask me tonight at 10 o'clock and I'll have a little better idea how it's going. So we'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is confirmation of the agenda, and we do have one additional item, I guess, James.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll just note under other business, discussion regarding details for the community open house, which is upcoming for the Mitchell Arena on September 29th. Thanks. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, James. So the recommendation that we have is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth accept the agenda as amended. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Feltz and Councillor Foster. You're kind of sitting all by yourself over there tonight. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. So Councillor Fournier is on Zoom from home, and Murray is missing in action, I believe. And I kind of think he told me at the last meeting he wasn't going to be here tonight. So we'll see if that's the case. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda? Okay, moving on then. We have a fairly small consent agenda, 4 items, which includes the last meeting in September. Is there anything there that anybody would like pulled for further discussion or dealt with separately? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so then a motion would be in order that we accept the consent agenda items 4.1 to 4.3 for information, and the minutes of the September 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Councillor Harold, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. So we do have a couple items on the public meeting tonight to do with planning. And the first one is a zoning amendment ZN5 2025. And it is to deal with 5101 Road 164. So as we go into this public meeting, I will call it to order at 7:03 p.m. And at this time, I will ask Clerk Hudson for the purpose of this public meeting.
Thank you. Through the chair, the purpose of this public meeting is to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments about proposed amendments to bylaw 100/1998, being the zoning bylaw, affecting the properties known as 5101 Road 164, 3839 Road 164, and 2815 Road 149. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decisions made by council, we ask that you provide your name, mailing address, and email to clerk@westperth.com. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, James. As was noted, this is a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment application submitted by John Nedelkovich. Did I do okay? Close enough. Thank you. I will now call upon John Bice, planner for the County of Perth, to review the application and present any correspondence received. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and Council. So the first application before you today is located at 5101 Road 164. It's in Kennecott, just north of Bornholm. And you can see it on the red star there. So the applicant is requesting to convert a church to a single detached dwelling. The church is no longer used as a place of worship. The applicant is also requesting to convert cultivated lands that are on the property, currently zoned institutional, to the agricultural zone. So the subject lands are split designated in the former Perth County official plan. The infill designation allows for a small amount of residential development in the form of single detached dwellings only. The agriculture designation is intended to promote the agricultural activities of the county. Perth County's draft 2024 official plan did receive minister's approval on September 12th, 2025. The new official plan designates the site as rural cluster and agriculture. The rural cluster is a very similar designation as the current infill designation. The principal use of the rural cluster shall be for low density residential purposes. So the proposal is consistent with the new 2024 Perth County official plan. As the rural cluster designation applies to the western portion of the site only, the conversion of the church to a single detached dwelling can only apply to the lands, as you see on the slide, that are in black here. The remaining 2/3 of the eastern portion of the property will remain, will be designated, or sorry, zoned agricultural. And this is essentially because the settlement boundary is the border of where the black and the white meet. So essentially, rezoning the lands designated agricultural to the agricultural zone is considered appropriate to ensure the protection of those agricultural lands. So the subject lands are currently zoned institutional, as I made mention. The application requests a split zoning. This split zoning request is to follow the Perth County official plan designation lines. So essentially, Hamlet Village Residential is the proposed zone on the western portion where the single detached dwelling or the old church is located. And staff are recommending site-specific zones for each of the requests. So just to get into the site-specific nature of the HVR 24 zone, staff are recommending that this specific zone apply to this western portion. The site-specific nature is to allow an increase in the maximum lot area requirements for lands zoned Hamlet Village Residential. The current West Perth zoning bylaw provides a maximum lot area of 4,000 meters squared. And this area that's existing is larger than that. So this is just to reflect existing conditions, essentially. The second option is to ensure that the lands zoned HVR-24 are also subject to the provisions dictated in the HVR 3 zone. And this specifies that only single detached dwellings are permitted. This is essentially to follow the rest of Kennecott. The entirety of Kennecott is zoned HVR 3, and that's essentially coming from the Perth County official plan designation to only permit those single detached dwellings and essentially nothing more. The A60 site specific with the hold, staff are recommending essentially to ensure that no dwellings or sensitive land uses are built on the lands zoned A60, and to ensure that lands are not further subdivided or split off and given to the agricultural lands that are abutting. And this is to ensure that those lands remain as one, because there was not a hydrogeological study completed for the property since it was larger than 1 hectare. So if we take any of those lands away, there may not be enough dilution area for a septic system. So that's the reason for the hold. If the applicant were to submit something like a lot addition or something in the future to give the agricultural field to, say, the abutting neighbor, they would just have to complete a hydrogeological study that proves that that lot area is sufficient to hold that septic system. So public notice was sent on August 25th. No comments were received from members of the public. Upper Thames and Ministry of Transportation indicated no objections. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. So at this time, I will ask if the applicant has anything further to add to this. No, we're good. Is there anybody in attendance tonight that wishes to speak in support of the application? Is there anybody present tonight that is in opposition to this application? Any general comments or questions from council? Okay, seeing none. I think we got off fairly lucky there, John. So the next item then is another zoning amendment, ZN 7/2025. And this is a public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment applications submitted by Christopher Wilson and Kelly Bullock, Stephen and Diane Ritz. And I will now call again on John Bice, planner for the County of Perth, to review the application and present any correspondence received.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and council. So this application is located just south of Mitchell. It's on the eastern side of Road 164. Location is 3839 Road 164, the red star. So the application is currently proposing to rezone the lands to the A1 special zone, and that's as the property is currently non-compliant with the existing agricultural, commercial, industrial special zone. The sliver of land the sliver of land that's going to be added or was added through a past consent application will be rezoned from the agricultural zone also to the A1 zone. So the ACM business was a cow tagging business. It is no longer existing on the property. The property is currently being used as a non-farm residential use. This rezoning is a condition of consent B45-24 that was before West Perth Council last year. The rezoning is considered appropriate for the lands as it better suits the continued existence of that property. The applicants submitted a phase 1 ESA and they've found no potential contaminating activities from the former cow tagging business. And the new Perth County official plan designates the site as agriculture, which is very similar to the old official plan. So essentially, planning staff believe that the PPS, the new draft official or the new official plan and the zoning bylaw are all met, and we are recommending approval at this time. Public notice again on August 25th. No comments or concerns have been received from the public. Upper Thames said no, they have no objections. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks again, John. And I don't believe we have anybody present, either the applicant or their agent. So I'll ask if there's anybody present that is in support of this application. Is there anybody present in opposition to this application? And any general comments or questions from council with regards to that? Okay, I do have one question, and you know what it is. There was over, I believe, 200 pages for this zoning. Like, why was there so much for this particular application, more so than
You're
some
talking
of the
about
other ones?
through the mayor. Are you talking through about the phase 1 ESA?
I'm talking about the whole package that we got.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was probably the majority of it. The phase 1 ESA was essentially because lands were converted to a sensitive land use that were previously industrial. So that's a standard requirement when we're changing things to sensitive land uses. That's all I'll say to that.
Yeah, no, it just seems like a lot of red tape, I guess, if you want to call it that, to deal with one small particular application. And I think I said to staff, the reports that they had to do would probably cost them more than what the half-acre land that they added would have been. But anyways, they needed that, and that's the way it is. So anyways, there's no questions, so thank you, John. I'd like to thank everybody for their comments. Should council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment? Did I miss something?
One more.
We have one more. Oh, sorry. We do. Okay, so the next one is ZN 8/2025. And it's a zoning bylaw amendment application submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips on behalf of Wooderland Farms. And I'll now call upon John Bice, planner for for the county of Perth to review that application.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie and Council.
Sorry about that.
So this is the third zoning bylaw amendment before you today. It's zoning bylaw amendment 8-2025. It's located at 2815 Road 149. And it's just south of Fullerton there. So this rezoning is a condition of a severance application, and the severance application was B14-25 or B14-25. The severed lands that were produced was about half an acre and about 51 meters of frontage on Road 149. Retained lands being just shy of 100 acres with broken frontage and about 350 meters on also Road 149. So as a standard with surplus farm dwelling rezoning applications, the area in yellow is going to be rezoned A1. And then the area in red will be rezoned A3, and that's to ensure that no residential dwellings are placed on those lands. So no concerns were expressed through the submissions and the notices. The dwelling is surplus to Wouterland Farms needs. This is a condition of consent, and Upper Thames indicated no objections. Public notice again on August 25th. No comments were received from members of the public. I can take any questions.
Okay, thanks again, John. Any further comments or questions from the applicant? Okay. Is there anybody wishing to speak in support of this application that's here tonight? Anybody in opposition to this application? Any general questions or questions from council with regards to this application? Okay, thank you, John. So now I can close it up. Sorry about that. I would like to thank everybody for their comments. Should council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendments, the notice of passing will be provided as prescribed by the Planning Act and a 20-day appeal period to the Ontario Land Tribunal. We will now close the public meeting at 7:17. Thank you. So moving back into our regular agenda. Right here. Go back here. Okay, so these are all recommendations coming out of the public meeting that we just had. And the first recommendation is the Council Municipality of West Perth approve ZN 5 2025 submitted by John Novovich. Thank you, Novovich. I'll take your word for it. Lost my spot here. Affecting lands legally described as Part Lot 15, Concession 12 in Logan. Registered Plan 44R 5179, Parts 2 and 3 of the Municipality of West Perth. We can do a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Duck, seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. The next is zoning approve ZN 7 2025 submitted by Chris Wilson, Kelly Bullock, Stephen, and Diane Ritz, affecting lands legally described as Part Lot 25, Concession 2, Fullerton in the Municipality of West Perth. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Harold, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then finally, that the Municipality of West Perth approves ZN 8 2025 submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips on behalf of Wouterland Farms, Inc., affecting lands legally described as Lot 26, Concession 18, Fullerton in the Municipality of West Perth. Mover and seconder for that, Councillor Harold, Councillor Feltz. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. All right, now we get down to the delegation. So we have with us Margaret Smart, Executive Director of the local Community Food Center. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about the local Community Food Center. So Margaret, the floor is yours.
Talk. That sounds better. Okay. And now I got to figure out this. All right, it's this side. Where do I aim it? Oh, there. Okay. It's slow, I think. Just like not at you. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. As stated, my name is Margaret Smart. I am the Executive Director of the local Community Food Center. I took on this role 2 years ago, and it has been an honor to be with the local these last 2 years. It's been a challenging couple of years as we have recovered from all of the pandemic pivoting that we don't like to talk about anymore, but that was a reality for many nonprofits. I'm going to share with you this evening a bit about what a community food center is and what that looks like in our local community food center in Stratford. We are a part of a greater organization called Community Food Centers Canada. And this organization was birthed out of the idea that food can be a powerful tool for change. And the belief that when you create a space where people can come together around food in community, that lives can be changed and transformed. There we go. Next one. The idea for a community food center began at a place called The Stop in Toronto. And The Stop was originally a food bank. But what happened was that they continued to see the same people coming again and again and again, and not a lot changing in people's lives. So the people who were running that food bank began to ask themselves, what are the social determinants of health? And how can we actually affect change and create an organization that brings people together around those social determinants of health in order to change lives? And what they believed was that people needed food that wasn't just food to fill your belly, but food to nourish your life. And that means food that is nutrient dense. So fresh produce and fruits, local high quality meats, food that you still recognize what it looks like, that it's not so highly processed. And then also the skills to take that food and to turn it into meals for your family and for the people you care about. And so confidence in growing your food, in cooking your food, in taking whatever resources you have and making the very best food that you can, so that when you eat that food, you feel good about yourself, you feel healthy, you can think well, and you can begin that process towards making changes in your own life. The other thing that they recognized is that as much as food is important, community is equally important. So many of us will remember that our first jobs or our first apartments, our first opportunities in life came many times through the people that we know and the networks that we have. That our thinking about topics, about life, about success is often shaped by the people who are around us. And so the greater diversity of people that we have around us, the more networks we have to tap into, and the greater voices that we hear that can help us to work through and support us on our journey in life. So the vision was to bring people around tables filled with good food and good community. And what they did was they created a space where people could share a good meal, where they could learn to grow and to cook nutritious food, and where they could learn to take actions on the issues that affected them and be empowered to access the supports that they needed. In 2011, that place called The Stop wrote a book about their experience and received some funding to pilot that idea because they had seen people's lives and their community change through the things that they were doing, and to pilot that idea in other communities. A group of volunteers in Stratford approached the United Way, and they applied to be a pilot community to see whether or not that model of a community food center could be translated into other communities. Well, that was 2011, and what they discovered was that yes, it can be translated because we are still the local community food center and we are still thriving there in Stratford. So before I get into telling you all about what we do, we'll go to the next slide. I have done presentations for people. I have hosted people at the local. I have talked all about what we do, and then had people come back to me and say, but are you a food bank? So I just have now started to just get that question out of the way at the very beginning and say, no, we are not a food bank at the local community food center. We are very different than a food bank. But it is also important to recognize that we are part of a food bank system in that we are all trying to address food insecurity together. We address it in different ways. We have different priorities and strategies, but we are all part of a network of people that are trying to make sure that our communities are well fed and thriving. A food bank focuses on emergency food assistance. So usually a food bank will have a limited number of times that somebody can access them in a given month, and they will provide an allotment of food that is meant to last 1 or 2 weeks. The goal of a food bank is to ensure that there's an immediate access to basic food needs, and it's a recognition that people experience times of crisis when they need food quickly available to them to get them over that hump, to get them through to the next time when they're able to access food for themselves. Many community food centers still include food banks as one part of their programming. And through a grant from the Stratford Rotary Club at the local community food center, we partner with 6 food banks in Stratford to supply them with fresh produce and with meat at affordable prices. So we buy that produce and meat wholesale, and then we have a grant that allows us to share that with our community food banks. A community food center, our goal is to try and find long-term solutions to food insecurity. We believe that everyone needs and deserves access to good food, and also that there is power in coming together around tables as equals, no matter what our circumstances are, and that around these tables as a diverse community, we can impact and support one another. And of course, that those tables should be filled with good food. We prioritize creating access points to good food. We value creating a welcoming space and a sense of belonging in community. We empower people through dignified choices and non-marginalized spaces. We build food-related skills through growing and cooking and providing education programs, workshops, and resources. We support people to grow in their ability to connect with the things that they need and to advocate for the things they care about. So, the local builds health, belonging, and social justice in our community through the power of food. We solve food insecurity through programs that cover one or more of the following: access to food, acquisitions to food skills, education, and community engagement. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like access to food and belonging and our community eating together. Every Monday at supper time between 4 and 6 o'clock, and every Friday between 11 and 1 o'clock, we have a community meal. And we have been seeing our numbers at our community meals over the last 2 years have more than doubled. Our community meals, we say everyone is welcome because everyone needs good food. Our meals are free. There's a donation box if people would like to contribute. But we encourage people to come and be at tables together. and people come. So this slide, I updated it last week because our community meal Monday night suppers had hit 175 people. This evening, when I left the local community food center, my chef said to me that they think that they were going to be serving about 202 people tonight at our community meal. At our Friday lunches, we usually have had between 175 to 200 people, although 2 weeks ago we hit 204 at our Friday community meal. People come for so many different reasons. I have asked people what it is that brings them to the local. We have been telling the story of two members of our community named Mitch and Dorothy because they represent the dichotomy of the many reasons that people come. Mitch was someone who was experiencing homelessness, and she heard that she could get a good hot meal at the local. So she's very clear, she comes to the local because there's food there, and food is good, and food is important. At one of the tables Mitch sat down at, she met a person named Dorothy. Dorothy used to be a public health nurse. She retired from being a public health nurse, and what she found was that all the tables she was sitting at, everyone looked the same as her. They were retired individuals of a certain economic status and place in life. But she missed the diversity of the people that she encountered through her work, and she knew that her community was more diverse than what she was connecting with. And so she decided she would start having lunch at the local community food center to see if there was ways that she could speak into and connect with her community. So she started coming for lunch, and she would give a donation, and she ended up sitting at a table with Mitch. And what Mitch and Dorothy discovered by sitting side by side at that table was that they had more in common than they had that was different from one another. They both cared deeply about their community. They were both very interested in helping and supporting the marginalized people in our community. And most of all, they both have a wicked sense of humor, and they really enjoyed laughing together. I have other people who have told me that they have come because they were in a mental health state where even just getting out of the house was an ordeal. But they knew there would be a good meal and some good people on the other end. And that was motivation for them to leave their house, to go out and to eat well one night. And it was the beginning of a change for their mental health journey because they knew they didn't have to cook. They didn't have to try and arrange to meet people. They just had to get out their door. And that was the beginning of a change for them. I have other people who have told me that a group of women who come for our Friday lunch because they say that they used to always go out for lunch together. This was their tradition, their ritual to go out every Friday. But as life circumstances changed for people and it became more and more expensive to eat out, they began to see that it was harder for some members of their group to go out for lunch on a regular basis. They realized that by coming to the local, they could each donate what they were capable of giving, and they could continue to be in community with one another, and they could continue to eat well. All of these people come together at the local, and they create a very vibrant and wonderful community around the tables. I recently had someone point out to me that I was standing in our dining room at lunchtime, and they said, "Margaret, look around. Do you notice that nobody has a phone out?" And I hadn't noticed it before, but then I started noticing. And it's an amazing thing once you start to notice that around our tables, we have 200 people come through, and they're talking, and they're laughing, and they're interacting, and nobody needs to be scrolling on their phone. On that slide, there was also some notes about other ways that we feed our community through the Connection Center and outreach clinics to some of the most marginalized folks. While we're having our community meals, in another part of our building, there is an access market that happens. We purchase our food for our market at wholesale prices in bulk. We go to the Elmira Farmers Auction and we purchase our produce there. We have local farmers that we connect with for our meat. And we have most of our food items are otherwise purchased through 100 Kilometers Food. So our priorities are high quality, nutrient dense, and as local as possible. We buy those produce and that product at wholesale prices, and we offer it to community at wholesale prices. So one of the things that you may have heard me saying many times here is that we welcome our community to come in. I've been throwing open the doors and saying, come on into the local because everyone needs good food. Because our market is access prices where we don't mark it up, I have a lot of people say, but you know, what if people don't need it? What if I don't need access prices? I don't want to take it away from somebody else who needs it. My response to that has been twofold. The first is, who doesn't need good food at good prices these days? Everybody needs that. And the second is that if somebody can have a food budget that is, this big, and they shop at the access market and they're able to purchase their food for a less amount, they are always welcome to donate back the difference in their food budget towards the operation costs of the local in order to keep that market there for the other people who need it. So by shopping there, they increase our purchase power, they free up money that they can donate to our operating costs, and most of all, they create a market that is truly representative of the community. So it doesn't become a space that is the poor people's market or the market that you only go to when you're desperate. It becomes a real vibrant community space. I'm more interested, and as an organization, we're more interested in making sure that we're bringing people in than that we're keeping people out. One of the ways that we bring people in is through partnerships with other organizations in our community. So at our access market, we partner with the social services, ODSP and OW, with Children's Aid Society, and with Stratford Family Health Team, where we have together been able to make gift cards available to them to give to their clients that they can come and shop in our markets, and they can shop alongside other community members, and no one needs to know who's shopping on a gift card from Children's Aid Society and who's shopping just through their own means. We have a 2.5-acre community farm, a pocket of land that was given to us by the city of Stratford to turn into a place where people could learn to grow food. Currently on that land, we have 50 allotment gardens where people can grow a little 10 by 10 patch for themselves and their families. And then we have 2 acres of farmland where we have a team of urban farmers who last year harvested 5,000 pounds of produce that we were able to bring to our market and to our meals. We have cooking skills classes. Last year, we did 72 kitchen skills workshops for everyone from 8-year-olds to senior citizens. And again, we do that in partnership with a lot of different organizations as they identify needs in the people that they support that would be beneficial to them in being able to cook for their families. One of our workshops was done in conjunction with social services, and it was to teach young families who are on limited income to make healthy snacks that they can send in their children's lunches, and how to do that on a low income and get the best nutrients into those snacks for their kids. Finally, we do education and engagement. We have a team that we call our Community Connections team. They're a team of people, 1 full-time person and 2 what we call peer advocates, who are present at our meals and markets. Because as you can imagine, when we say, come on in and eat and shop, people come with many different issues and many different needs that they have. So the Community Connection team's job is to meet those people where they're at, and as they discover other needs that they have, to connect them in with other supports and services in our community. The Connection team makes about 25 to 40 referrals to other organizations in our community a month, and they can help come alongside and make phone calls and fill in forms and advocate for supports for people who come to the local. They also run a series of workshops and education opportunities around self-empowerment and advocacy. All right, we do all of this with the equivalent of 9 FTE, so 9 full-time equivalent people who run this organization, which translates into kind of one person for each division of what we do. And even more importantly, we have 202 volunteers. The volunteers are literally the hands and the heart of our organization, and we are intentionally volunteer-based. Because what we often see is that people will come to a meal, to a market, and they become a part of the community, and they want to be a part of the community on a regular basis. And so they turn into volunteers, and some of our best volunteers who show up regularly. So I'm just going to wrap up my presentation tonight by inviting you. I keep saying that the local is open to everybody and that we need all kinds of people around our tables. So if you're ever interested in coming to the local for lunch and actually seeing what we do and hearing more about the many layers of the work that we do, I would invite you to reach out to me anytime. I would be happy to host you for lunch on a Friday so you can eat the food and see what it's like. You can come and take a walk through our market, and I can tell you more about what we do. My card is on the table over there, as well as some information. So feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to have lunch with you on a Friday. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your interest in what we do at the local.
Well, thank you very much, Margaret. I think very enjoyable presentation, and I think you gave us a lot of information that we weren't aware of before. I'll open it up to council if anybody has any questions with regards to that. I was kind of watching to see whether Andrew put his hand up or not, because he's right into to the gardens.
Ah,
There's Andrew. He's got his hand up. Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
Yes, hello. I would be very much interested in getting in touch, and I'm sorry, I'll back up. Through your worship, yes, hello. I'd be very much interested in staying in touch and learning more about your efforts. I'm trying to do something of the same here in West Perth, but it sounds like you're rather a lot better at it. And if I could hand over the project to you, I'd be thrilled. So if you don't mind, leave a card for me especially, and I will be sure to be back in touch.
okay, thank you. I am leaving my card, so if you can do that, thank you very much. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? None? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Myra.
Thank
Really
you so much.
appreciate you coming tonight. It was
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Good. Okay, moving on. Our next delegation is from the Perth County OPP, and they're going to kind of give us an update where they're at and a year in review. And we have with us Becky Belfer, who is our board member, and also Detachment Commander Tyler Stewart. So come on up. The floor is yours, and fill us in with all the good news.
Thank you, Your Worship, Council. We're very proud to be here. Very happy to have Tyler as our new commander within the board and for the OPP in this area. Exciting for your new position. So we'll just keep this short and sweet. I know you have a big agenda tonight. Part of the new legislation, we are to present to council once a year where we are at, as well as to receive the detachment commander's year-end report. As you are all aware, the OPP Detachment Services Board was newly established in 2024 under the new act providing oversight for the OPP policing delivered to West Perth, Perth East, and North Perth. So it consists of 8 members. Thank you for appointing me as the West Perth member. We have a great board with 2 appointed provincial appointees, which have not been named yet. We're waiting for that to come through for us. And as we move on to the governance, our chair is Todd Kasenberg from North Perth. Vice chair is Jerry Smith from Perth East. And our recording secretary is James Hudson. James has been a huge resource during this transition period. And I think all the people he's known in his past position has really helped us through some of the curves that we've had to deal with. So we've established the new policies, the terms of reference and an abuse policy. As we move forward, we'll be reviewing our policies and procedures and these policies as well as we transition into our next year to review them once a year. and these can be viewed publicly online. So training and compliance, all training has been completed by the board rules and by the board with roles and responsibilities under the new Community Safety and Policing Act, Human Rights and Equity, Understanding Systematic Racism and Cultural Awareness, and the Rights of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. The board regularly requests that the OPP provide us with different resources, Optimism Place. We've had the drug unit there as well. And as we move forward, they'll just continue to educate us on all the different things that are happening within the area. We were able to see one of the new computers in one of the vehicles that they can see all of the license plates as they go through. So it's been very beneficial for us to learn everything that they're doing and seeing as a board. We have little people. Insurance and risk management. The Ontario Association of Police Service Boards provided the new board with a group insurance program arranged through McFarland Rowland Insurance Brokers and Medallion Group. In 2025, we've just renewed our insurance. It was great to see them come out. It took them a little bit to put the insurance package together for us, but they were able to come up with something as a group with all of the boards, and we've just renewed our 2025, 2026 year. So our budget and financial oversight, last year was our first kick at the can for the budget. And so I know James is going to be pulling some things together over the next 2 meetings for us to have something for the 3 municipalities for their 2026 budget. But it includes things like our insurance premium, admin expenses, board training and development, public engagement, and member remuneration, all cost shared between the 3 municipalities. As you can see through this slide, we've been fairly active with all of the different things we've done as being a new board, and again, different policies and bylaws, detachment reports. The detachment commander provides us a report every month with updates of all of the different aspects of their job, and we review it very in depth, and lots of questions come from the report. And I skipped ahead on that one. Sorry, girls. Public and transparency and communication. So board members have been attending various OPP functions, barbecues, book club sessions, and kids camp programs, trying to be out in the public. And in alignment with the CSPA, the board has committed to transparency by publishing local policies on the website, posting agendas and minutes in advertising in advance of meetings, encouraging input and participation with community partners during the meetings, and preparing and submitting annual activity reports to member municipalities. So in conclusion, you can see the board has been very busy together to navigate this new act. There's still various facets of the act to review and discuss. As we move forward as the board, we remain committed to effective civilian oversight of the OPP policing services, transparency, and community engagement. The board thanks the member municipalities, staff, and OPP personnel for their support, and looks forward to building on this success in the future. I know one question will probably be about the 2026 budget, and I'll let Tyler speak to that.
Thank you. Good evening. I did receive an update today just on the budget that it is being worked through with our general headquarters. I still haven't had a timeline when that will be sent out, but it is on their radar, and any communications I've asked just to be updated on. So I don't have a clear answer for you, so my apologies on that, but I have been advised that usually it come out in the fall, but they are still working towards that. So once I receive that information, I'll forward that along.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Well, it's not fall for another week or two, so they got some time.
Fair enough.
Questions for any of the two here? Nicholas, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor McKenzie, I was wondering what your local plan will look like for maybe 2026. You talked a lot about what you had done so far, but what does it look like next steps coming into the future as now you've got your feet under you and are going to try to deliver on a plan? What does it look like and how do you plan on delivering?
I believe, and James, if you can attest to this, that they're going to be bringing through a strategic plan moving forward October. I think we talked about having something come forward in October. And our community safety wellbeing plan will be reviewed as well. So those two items will be on our radar first for the end of this year and beginning of next year. Maybe some more community engagement type things to be out in the public. And that will be. I know there's a few more things under the new legislation with we review the detachment commander each year. So putting those parameters in place, what that looks like as a board and how we will approach our review of the detachment commander, that's part of the board's position. And again, we're still learning all of the new nuances that are coming forward for us. We're further ahead than most municipalities with the board and what we've already done, but it's still, I think they're still working on what is expected of us. So if I'm not mistaken, right, James?
Through the chair, very well put. No, I really don't think there's much more to add at all. This is new legislation for all detachment boards in Ontario, and so they're all navigating it together. So it will be interesting to see what the next few years bring and what the work of the board brings with that. So thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Your Worship, through you. Thanks, Becky and Detachment Commander Stewart. Welcome to the area. I guess following up on Councillor Bink's questions about what the plan looks like for 2026, I guess I would have particular interest in two topics. There's lots of topics to choose from, but one in particular is road safety, in particular speeding on the local roads. I know I've addressed this through a notice of motion with municipal staff. They're undertaking methods to try and monitor and the traffic speed and institute some kind of traffic calming measures like Highway 8. And the east-west roads, north and south of Highway 8, get a lot of traffic. The GPS puts people from out of town on these roads, and there's a lot of excess speed happening, which is a concern to the local users and especially the ag community with slow moving vehicles on those roads. It causes potential for mishaps. The second item that I would be particularly interested in pertains to the community safety well-being plan, specifically dealing with mental health issues in the community. I know the police service in the past has been, they have an extra officer riding to attend calls, and I know the police service would be coordinating with Perth County EMS on some of these calls as well, but I'd be particularly interested to see how the review of the community safety well-being plan will tackle that issue in the future. Thanks.
We will make sure that, James, if you can make notes of those, we'll make sure that they go back to the board with your concerns and make sure that we look at those sorts of things as we go through the plan and devise it for the 2025-2026 year.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so yeah, welcome and thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate your information that you provided us. So we look forward to what comes down the tubes in the near future. Yeah, no, that's basically our delegation part of the evening. So if you're welcome to stay and we can continue to bore you, but you're also welcome to leave if you so wish. So moving on, Next item that we have for discussion is with regards to the treasurer, and it's the 2026 general fees and charges bylaw. So Wendy, I'll let you take the floor.
Good evening, Mayor McKenzie and council. So before you, this report, we're looking for approval for the 2026 user fees. And in that resolution, we're also isolating the wastewater rate increase. So in the report, we kind of looked at it. We did look at what our user rates were last year, and they represent 23% of our revenue. So which is significant. Your environmental services make up 80% of that percentage. So the 23 million equals 5.6 million. So they make up the lion's share of that. And that would be your water, wastewater, and garbage. Recreation and culture is the second. It makes up 16.71% of the user fees. And then the remaining 3.09 make up the rest. So that's photocopies, tax certificates, licenses, stuff like that. Your building permits are not part of that number. They're recorded separately for us for revenue. So in the report, I kind of went through, we laid it out a little different this year. We gave you what the last year rate was and what the new rate was. So it'd be maybe easier to follow than looking at the bylaw. So for me, under general government or Schedule A, the only changes that we're bringing forward as a change to the tax certificate. We did a quick survey of the regional area, and West Perth was the lowest. So we kind of looked when the last rates were updated, and it was 5 years ago. And so then we've been, we kind of looked at where we would sit in the low to average level. And so tax certificates are usually for people that are selling their homes, or there's some kind of financial transactions on their property taxes. And so we can get them as a standard request, which gives us a few days to answer it, or a rush, which is a quick turnaround. And so in the past, they were $40 and $75. And so we're looking to change that to your standard to go up to $60 and your rush to go up to $90. Recreation, in the table, you can see there was a lot of rates that have changed. Some of those rates were reviewed and kind of looked at as far as like easy math. So when students are making change or they're doing a contract, they kind of rounded values up. So it wasn't a flat inflation measure applied. Some of the other things I identified were duplicates, or streamlining some of their rates so that it was just easier to implement. And so getting rid of like a Monday to Friday and then Saturday being a special rate is just, this is the rate for this facility. So that's been kind of outlined, or has been outlined in the report. Anything that is stroked out in the schedule the recommendation is to remove it. So you'll see some of the Monday to Fridays and Sundays being stroked out. Environmental services. So we had looked at the water financial plan back, I believe it was in February. And in that report, it was adopted that the water rates be increased by 2.5%, and with the water financial plan coming back. So the 2.5 has been implemented. We didn't bring forward the wastewater financial plan. It's coming. So what we've done is looked historically what has been done, and 3.5 has been what historically has been the increase. So that's why the recommendation is set for 3.5. The planning fees, they were reviewed, are currently being reviewed at the upper tier. So we'll be bringing forward an amendment to those once we have them. That'll be Schedule K. Your protective services, That's your fire. That went up by COLA or 1.99%. And then the building permit, Schedule O is new to your bylaw. And in there outlines your current building. So it just kind of consolidates all your fees into one bylaw. So no changes on the building fees. It just brings it under the bylaw. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. Questions with regards to Wendy's report? Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor McKenzie, through you. I guess a two-part question, Wendy, if I could. You mentioned the wastewater financial plan is still under review. I don't know if Adam's online for the meeting tonight or not, but I was just wanting to know what action steps need to be completed before that that plan is reviewed, and when do we foresee that coming to council for review?
Yes, thank you. Through you, your worship. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you well, Adam.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dean. So with how we left off with the water plan in 2025, we had held off on the wastewater plan to ensure that we had, a proper financial plan in place for water and then move ahead with our wastewater. So currently we're on track to be working on and completed that, we're hoping in January 2026, and that would be when we would attempt to bring it into council. Staff is continuing to work with BM Ross as we have in the past on all of our financial plans, and basically just getting them information on our previous year's work to move ahead with our new updated numbers. So the start of the year in 2026 is when those things should be brought in.
One supplemental, if I might. So then the 3.5%, Wendy, you mentioned it's based on a historical number, but what's the basis for that 3.5%? Like, what business case do we make for that number as opposed to a different number?
I think historically your financial plans have kind of just rolled over from BM Ross. And in the report, there would be details as to inflation or reserves or projects in the past to bring you, because we're at the end of the life of the plan. So the plan would have been done 5 years ago. And so we need that updated plan. And so when we looked at the history of the plan, 3.5 has been straight across the board for the last 5 years. And so there's no magic in why we picked the 3.5 other than historically that's what we've done. Until we have the plan, it's hard to know. There's a lot of moving parts to come up with the rates. And so that's why staff are bringing forward at 3.5.
No, thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? No? Okay. Thanks, Wendy. So we do have a recommendation here. And it is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth approves the 2026 fees and charges as set out in the draft bylaw, and that council approve a rate increase of 3.5% for wastewater effective the first billing cycle in 2026. Do we have a mover and seconder for that recommendation? Moved by Councillor O'Donnell, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. All right, moving on then. Got the clerk's report here and the Milady Drain.
Oh, well, thank you through the chair. This is a Section 78 request under the Drainage Act. The Milady Drain's located in Hibbert Township. Services, lots 28 and 29 on concession 4. The request was filed on August 25th, 2025, and we're recommending that we appoint Joel Miller of K Smart Associates following the required notice to AuSable Bayfield Conservation Authority. I'll leave it there unless there's any questions.
Any questions for James on that? Okay, then the recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth proceed with the request for drain major improvement to the Lady Municipal Drain and the council pursuant to the Drainage Act, including in accordance with section 8, subsection 4, and subject to any objection from the Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority, appoint Joel Miller of K-Smart Associates Limited as the drainage engineer on a date 30 days from the notice of the Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority for the examination of the drainage works and to proceed with the requirements of the proposed improvements under section 78 of the Drainage Act. Moved by Councillor Fink, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any further discussion on that? Fairly straightforward drain request. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Next one is also belongs to the clerk, and it's an update to the municipal development and servicing guidelines, tree replacement.
Thank you through the chair. So yes, this relates to your municipal development and servicing guidelines, which were brought in 2024. As part of the approval to those guidelines, authorization was given to the Director of Operations to make necessary changes and updates to the guidelines, and there was a requirement that these be reported to council. So that's what this report is doing, and specifically what it's reporting on is that under section 9.2 landscaping, a requirement's been added that any trees removed during development or servicing works be replaced at a minimum ratio of 3 new trees for every 1 tree removed. So this is simply codifying that requirement within the development guidelines that's given to developers. I'll leave it there unless there's any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions for James on that? No? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Dean. Sorry.
Thanks, your worship, through you. I just thinking of this as James was reporting on this. The 3-to-1 ratio, what happens, like, it takes some effort to plant new trees and make sure they survive. So I guess is there a time limit? Like, are these trees monitored for 1 year or 2 years to ensure that they grow, or how would that be addressed?
Thank you, Deputy. It's a really good question, and there's quite a few other nuances around this tree replacement program that staff have unpacked that we just haven't gotten to that point yet. But at this point, we were just bringing the 3-to-1. So I think you can anticipate a policy that'll answer that question. At this time, I can't answer that question. Most of the time, tree replacements are done on the lot that's being developed. So generally, when that's sold and maintained, it's up to the new property owner that would care for those trees. There are instances where there's simply too many trees being removed, where if you were to put 3-to-1, that we've got to disperse them around the municipality. We haven't ran into that situation, at least in recent time, but there's just some, as I said, some nuances we still have got to figure out and report back to council, as well as I'll disclose the definition of a tree. It's maybe a simple one, but you could have a very small tree or a very large tree. So we're just looking at that. But we recently were challenged on this 3-to-1, which it's been practice of ours for at least a few years. And we've got it in writing, at least now, pending any concerns brought forward to council.
Thank you.
Any other questions with regards to the tree policy? Okay, the recommendation that we have here then is the municipality of West Perth receives the update to municipal development and servicing guidelines tree replacement requirement report for information. Moved by Councillor Phelps, seconded by Councillor Chessel. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. The next item is also James's report, and it's the 2026 municipal and school board election voting method. James, floor is yours.
Great. Thank you through the chair. The purpose of this report is to confirm the voting method for the 2026 municipal and school board election, and staff are recommending that we continue with internet and telephone voting, which was the same model used in 2014, 2018, and most recently 2022. So the Act gives municipalities some flexibilities to decide how their elections are run. And as staff, our role is to make sure that the process is fair, accessible, and secure. Based on our past 3 election, internet and telephone voting has delivered on those points. So when comparing options, paper ballots are definitely the most familiar to everyone with respect to election voting methods. They're also the most expensive and prone to error. So tabulators can speed up that count and make things more accurate, but they require pretty significant investment in equipment costs, training, and staffing. By contrast, internet and telephone voting are cost-effective, accessible, and they are now the most common method used in municipal elections across Ontario. So a key part of making this work is ensuring that support is available for voters. In 2022, West Perth offered in-person voting assistance at the municipal office, and staff visited the retirement community to help residents vote. This approach will continue so that anyone who prefers the experience of coming in person still has that option. Security's always come up, and it's worth stressing that the systems that we use here are tested and encrypted, and they provide a full audit trail. So from that perspective, they provide a really secure option. In 2022, over 200 municipalities used internet or telephone voting, and satisfaction levels due to a post-election survey were 97%. So generally, voters seem pretty happy with it. From a financial standpoint, we're well positioned. So the election reserve has more than enough to cover our costs, which we expect to be similar in 2022. There may be some opportunities to coordinate with our neighbors in Perth County on some joint procurement. That would provide some neat consistency and some financial efficiencies. So we want to explore that. I think I'll leave it there. In short, internet telephone voting has been successful in here in West Perth. It's accessible, it's cost effective, and for that reason, we're recommending council approve that method again for 2026. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, James. Questions? I think it was tonight on the news, the federal government is also debating and looking at this. And I thought, yeah, like there's where there could be some real cost savings if they went that way, you know. They'd have to obviously have some hurdles with, you know, people that aren't computer literate or whatever, but they can work around the same way we have done it. If there's no questions, I have a recommendation here then. The recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth approve the use of internet and telephone voting for the 2026 municipal and school board election, and that the clerk be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw authorizing the use of internet and telephone voting in accordance with section 42 of the Municipal Elections Act 1996. We have a mover and seconder for that, Councillor Duck and Councillor Harold. Questions, comments, one way or the other? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We do have some correspondence that came in. Dan, do you want to highlight the pajama walk? Oh, okay, all right, then I'll give it to James. Well, it's kind of under CAO, you know. Sorry, go ahead, James.
Oh, no problem. Thank you through the chair. Yes, we did receive a request late last week for the annual pajama walk for Child Can, which took place on September 13th in the Lions Park. So this request is coming to you after the fact, and that's why it's framed as such as a reimbursement for request of the fees. I guess I would just note that council received a similar request last year and approved a waiver of the fees at that time. So I'll leave it there unless there's any further questions.
Okay, any questions with regards to that? Okay, so the recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth approve the request to reimburse the fees of the Lions Pavilion for the pajama walk for children that took place September the 13th, last Saturday. Mover and seconder for that, Councillor Phelps, Councillor Chessel. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. The other item upcoming is the economic development business mixer on November the 19th, so it's down the road a little wee bit. The recommendation that we have is that Council of the Municipality of West Perth accept all correspondence as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor O'Donnell, seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. So I don't know if there's any council reports. We do have I believe four bylaws. Bylaw 53 is to repeal and replace bylaw 67 and 2024 and bylaw 6, 2025, the payment and fees bylaw. Zoning bylaw 311, bylaw to amend bylaw 100 for the property at lot 15, concession 12 of Logan. Zoning bylaw 312, 2025 is a bylaw to amend the original bylaw 100, 1998 for part lot 25, concession 2 of Fullerton in West Perth. And zoning bylaw Z 313 is a bylaw to amend bylaw number 11 and for the property is lot 26, concession 18 in Fullerton as well. So the recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth give first and second readings to bylaw 53, zoning bylaw 311, 312, 313 this 15th day of September. We have a mover and seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Jankowski and Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. And then finally, fourth reading. You're looking, did I miss something? No, okay. That the municipality of West Perth give a third and final reading to bylaw 53, zoning bylaw 311, 312, 313 this 15th day of September. So mover and seconder for third reading. Councillor Harold, Councillor Feltz. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Number of events coming up there. Golf tournament for the Youth for Christ. I guess the main or the big one is the tailgate party coming up the end of this week at Ketterson Park. And I think everything is kind of working out fairly well for that. So do it another year or two and there'll be old hats at that, won't they? Eh? It was interesting, and I'm gonna be terrible with names, but the main attraction for the tailgate party was on the Canadian country music. Eagleson, yes, and he won an award the other night, so that's kind of a plus, I think, for this group to bring him into Mitchell. So that's good. Oh, sorry, Councillor Feltz.
Just wanted to give an update. The fire chief wasn't here. Attended the water ball games for West Perth. They hosted on Saturday. 7 of 9 of the departments that they share mutual aid attended. Shakespeare and Stratford were unable to make it. And 3 of the 5 events, West Perth finished first. So the ladies and gentlemen did very well at the games. So
Very good, very good. Okay. I don't believe there's any notices of motion. Under other business, we had that one item is with regards to the format of the open house. So Dan, you've been working on that, I believe.
Yep, I guess I'll just provide an overview of, okay. So, yeah, we're certainly looking towards a come and go drop-in type event for the evening. So we're in the activity room. We will have members of SLT there present, and then we're obviously hoping all or most of council will be there as they can and their schedule allows. We've got some kind of bigger boards made up consisting of that handout that we've published, identifying the 4 options. We're looking to have the site plan also available on the TV screen that night. And then we're looking to include at this point at least 2 more boards. One would be an overview of kind of the BCA, the building condition assessment that was done on the arena, to provide that information. And an additional board would be looking at an overview of the 10-year capital plan as it sits today. So we're certainly there, as I said, kind of in that networking, moving around aspect to answer questions, provide information as we can to the public, and then public outreach will be set up in a corner. And really, we're looking for, at this point, maybe the pointed questions are, we have the recommendation from the task force for option 3. So we're really hoping to unpack that with the citizens of West Perth and what option 3 would look like to them, including what would they like to see if the current ice pad were retrofitted into a recreation facility? What would they like to see in it? But additionally, the other main question is, which option do you support at that point? And there'll be some other, smaller questions around there that we're looking to gain feedback from on. But I think really those are the 2 main points we're after. If council has any recommendations or suggestions, happy to hear them. We are kind of going full force with promotions. It's been plastered everywhere online. Signs are up at the arena, signs are up around town. It's been on the radio, it's certainly been on social media. It will be on the community channel, Channel 1. I don't think there's anywhere else. It'll be in the paper. Really, there's nowhere else we can put it, I think. So, as I said, any questions or comments, I'm happy to have them.
This is more of a comment, and you've pretty well addressed it. I think it's important that we have a box or someplace where people can voice or put what option they think, and whether we have a pre-printed sheet with option 1, 2, 3, 4, and whatever, that they can check it off, or whether they just write down. But I think if it was pre-printed, and after they go through the boards and that, it would be easier just to put a check mark or an X there. But that's just my own thoughts. But I think we're doing this to get input from the public, and we need that system to get it. I guess there's maybe some thoughts about whether it should be a little more formal or not. And the comments that I've got is you're having a meeting for the arena right in the busy season when farmers are working at the beans. And I think that this is a good way to do it. It's open from 6 till 8:30. So it gives them an opportunity if they want to pop in, at supper time or after the beans are in the wagon, they can still come in and have a look at it. So I think it does provide an option for those people that are busy at this time of year. Well, yeah, I'll open up for questions. So Alex, I'll take you first, and then Doug.
Does staff currently have the site plan back yet or not?
No.
Maybe on that suggestion sheet, there should be a spot just for comments, because there could be something that we haven't thought of, or just something that maybe someone wants to speak their piece and has a brief place to put it.
No, for sure. No.
Yeah, if I can, I think we are certainly looking at some sort of voting mechanism again for the options, but it would be concealed as opposed to the jar in the past where you could see gems. We try to stray away from that because sometimes people could just kind of vote with everyone the majority mentality. So we are looking at a quote unquote paper ballot option.
You want to do it online? Or full? Is there anything there that you think that they're missing, or something that they just haven't thought of?
I'll just add too that as we've been meeting with larger groups where it's become available, we've already had our Lindsay runs quarterly public outreach meetings with all the community service groups. So we kind of gave a private, little bit of event and feedback session with them. We're attending the upcoming Mitchell Minor Sports meeting as well to kind of get from them firsthand and to kind of gauge the questions that we're getting so we can have those answers as well. And we are going to be meeting with West Perth Village this week, kind of our first meeting for the recent MOU that we signed as well. And we'll be kind of asking those questions there and seeing if there's any way we can collaborate or partner with them to at the event with their projects. So, yeah.
Anything else? Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor McKenzie, through you. after the open house has been completed, what would the next step be to deal with this subject?
I think we'd be looking at a report to council and then taking further direction from council if we have a clear path forward that council wants to direct staff, or if there's more information or something needed.
Is there a timeline yet for that report to council, or is that to be determined?
As soon as possible is ideal for us. I don't know how many ballots or how much feedback we will or won't get, so I'll certainly say in October at least.
Thank you.
Counselor Foster?
We are certain the site plan's gonna come on time, right? Like it was gonna be here for the fair originally, which was almost a month ago.
No, we didn't commit to having it for the fair.
I know we didn't commit to it, but that was the intention at the time. And it's now been, this is our second meeting since then.
We have an agreement to have it by that date, and that's also why it'll be on the TV, is so we don't have to meet the printing deadline.
So it is a firm date then that has been set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, very good, very good. All right, we do have a necessity for a closed meeting. And the recommendation is that we proceed into closed session under section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended at 8:26 p.m. to address matters related to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or board employees, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied by any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board asset naming. So we'll go into closed session. If everybody's good with that, we need a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Vink, seconded by Councillor or Deputy Mayor Trinkowski. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? That is carried. we did have a closed session to deal with a couple of items, staffing items and asset naming, and staff was given direction, and there's really no particular outcome at this time to either one. They were given direction to follow up. So at that point in time, or this point in time, we're at the confirmatory bylaw, and I'm going to ask Andrew if he is still on or not.
I am.
Okay, very good, Andrew. So
Yes,
the confirmatory bylaw I'm going to read, and I think you're going to maybe move it for me, will you?
I would absolutely love to. I'll raise my hand when appropriate.
Okay, so the recommendation is that bylaw 54, 2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation, the Municipality of West Perth, be read a first and second time this 15th day of September. And it's moved by Andrew. Do we have a seconder? Alex, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then bylaw 54, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth, be read a third time and finally passed this 15th day of September. Mover and second for third reading. Councillor Vink, Councillor Fournier is going to second it. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then finally, last motion that we've been waiting for, that the Municipality of West Perth adjourn the council meeting at 9:22. Moved by Councillor Felt, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That